At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Bleav.
Doesn't matter if you're an Indian or if you're a Warhawk.
The ULM mention is the greatest. You'd hope for the best as a ULM fan, but
this is the Bleav in the Warhawks podcast with hosts Dusty Thibodeau and Chase Regent.
Chase, you always have such great insight.
Thibs is going to bleep it all.
What are these guys always talking about?
We talk a lot about food on this podcast, and I'm going to continue to do so.
Really, really appreciative of the people and the community and the way that they've backed us up.
Nailed the introduction, by the way. Awesome.
Thanks,
I love
Fish.
it.
Bleav in the Warhawks back. Chase, I think he was going out, trying out for the sound of the day because he is now MIA for this week's episode. But we have the great news. Scotty Fletcher, the new women's basketball coach leading the program, joins me. Coach, welcome to the Bayou. Welcome to leading the Warhawks. Tell us a little bit about yourself as we introduce you to the fans.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First and foremost, I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you so much for having me on your show and being able to spend some time with you and talk Warhawk women's basketball. I guess the biggest thing, man, that I want people to know is I'm just a regular guy, man. There's nothing special about me. I grew up on a dirt road with a basketball in one hand and a dream in the other. And I've been chasing that dream my whole adult life. And as a child, and basketball has been the biggest blessing for me. I like to share my story. And like you and I were talking about before we went on air, and we already have a brotherhood and a connection. But, you know, I had an unfortunate childhood, and I lost my mom when I was 13. I was at basketball camp. It was actually the summer that Neil Reed transferred in from Indiana to Southern Miss. And that last night, Neil took me back to the dorm. And so I looked up to Neil Reed. I'll never forget the time that he and I shared together. And the next day I got the terrible news that my mom had been killed in a car accident by a drunk driver. And so from 7th to 10th grade, I bounced around and moved here and moved there. And by 17, my dad, he struggled with drugs and alcohol, and he didn't last. So at 17, I buried both my parents. So basketball was my way out. It was my outlet. I grew up very poor, and remember taking a bath in a creek, having to wear the same clothes to school. So whenever I had that ball in my hand, it really took everything away from my home life. That was my outlet. That was my escape. My coaches that stood in the gap for me, they played such a pivotal role as a father figure, as a role model, as a mentor. They invested in somebody that was lost and broken. The reason why I love to share that is because, like I mentioned, I think so many times imperfect people love to share their story with imperfect people. And there's nobody that's perfect, but sometimes these people have their walls up. And I was one of those that had their walls up. And coaching girls has been nothing short of a blessing. It's healed me. It's prepared me for marriage, being a father, being a husband. And I definitely think it's made me a better basketball coach and being able to relate and reach today's age. So that's just a little bit about Scotty Fletcher, you know, outside of being a basketball coach, who I am personally, outside of who I am professionally.
You come to the Bayou after a long tenure there at Pearl River Community College, but it wasn't always the roses there of that national ranking of really having a premier program there in the Mississippi JUCO ranks. That first year, 6-16. What was kind of the secret to you being able to take that program that was maybe down on their luck and being able to build it up pretty quickly into a perennial powerhouse?
Man, listen, that's a great question, and I'm very candid with this response. So when I got the opportunity to go back and lead Pearl River, which is a place that I played at and won a state championship as a player, there was only one state championship in the history of the program. And I had a conversation with our president, and I said, I guarantee you we will bring championships back to Pearl River. Well, we had just came off from winning 3 straight conference championships at William Carey when I was on the men's side. And we were playing for the conference championship game 3 years in a row, been to the national tournament. We were 54-9 in 2 years. We were 74-20 in 3 years. We went a perfect 21-0 in conference play. That was a record for the history of the league. So I come over there and I'm thinking, okay, so I'm running the same exact offense, the same exact stuff that we ran at Ole Miss, Jacksonville State, and William Carey on the men's side. And I realized real quick that the men's game was played above the rim and the women's game was played below the rim. So the offense, I was not doing a good job of putting our players in the best position, taking the best shots. We weren't really good at screening. Athletic ability didn't make up for marginal error. So if you missed a shot in the men's game or you took a bad shot, you can make up for it because of someone's leaping ability, someone's athleticism, someone's activity around the basket, around the rim. So that spring, I looked at a team in our league that I felt like had lesser talent, but was really tough to beat. So I studied their offense that whole spring and summer. I watched where they got shots, and me being a point guard and a basketball background, it was real easy to me. They did a really good job of screening. They took high percentage shots. They shared the basketball, and they had supreme discipline. So we changed everything in terms of how we played on the offensive end. Defensively, we were fine. We were in a lot of games, but offensively, we just didn't have the correct flow and the correct rhythm. So I attribute that to realizing not being stubborn, not being hard-headed. Obviously, we recruited better because, therefore, I had not when I got the job at that time, the recruiting classes were done. I was already in place, which was okay. I'm not one of those coaches. Sometimes coaches say, well, they weren't my players. Well, they were my players. You know what I'm saying? They were our players. They were on the roster. They were our players. I just did a bad job, and I'm very transparent about that. I was not a good coach for that year for that personnel. So obviously I hired some great assistants, and we recruited at a high level. And then you can see where it started to go in an upward trajectory. And we had a lot of success, especially the last 4 years. We set a lot of records at Pearl River.
That success definitely drew the attention there of AD John Hartwell. What was kind of that courtship or those discussions like when he kind of reached out saying, hey, Missy Bilderback's going back to Southern Miss. Are you interested in the job?
Well, the first thing I told him, and this he'll validate this. I said, I'm so excited. Let me stop right now and do 3 one-hand push-ups. And he started laughing, and I literally told him that. And he said, I would love to see that. And I said, you think I'm playing? I'm being serious. So, well, first and foremost, having the opportunity to work for John and with John at Ole Miss when I was a graduate assistant. I mentioned this earlier, but I'll just never forget going over to his house on a Friday night, and he was cooking steaks for us, and we were hanging out. And being there, I was innocent and green in the business and thought I should be helping prepare dinner or serving in some type of way. And I knew that he could sense that I probably felt like I was a little bit out of place. And he did such a good job of making sure I felt warmed and welcomed. And that's something that I'll never forget. And so he's the dream boss. He's got a basketball background. He understands people. He understands the business side of things. He has a clear vision for success. His leadership is elite, is supreme. He believes. And as a coach, that's all you can ask for is for somebody to believe in you. And the same with the players. The players want a coach that believes in them and gives them the keys to the opportunity to be successful. So there was a level of excitement. There was some communication about our style of play. And then, like I said, once we got going, we picked up right where we left off. Honestly, we shared a lot of great stories and great memories. But it was immediate that he's the type of guy that I wanted to work for. And I mean that because in this business, it's really important to surround yourself with like-minded people that have an aligned vision that support you. And it's a dream come true. And I mean that.
So here's your tough question, though. And I know the boss listens. Is Hartwell a good cook, though? I mean, do you remember the steak? Was it just that memorable of an experience that you're like, man, I got to go there because I know he's going to grill and I got to have some of that again?
Listen, I got a little Winnie the Pooh belly. So yes, I would tell you I love to eat. But yes, I mean, yes, as good as the hospitality that he provided, the steak was even better. And I think I actually had a steak and a half. He may not remember that, but being a GA, I was on a budget. So when there was leftovers, I said, Mr. John, can I have some of that? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So they didn't even have to throw the scraps out. I took that home with me.
That's awesome stuff. So you inherit a program that's had moderate success here recently, but in this day and age, it's always portal heavy. And I know in the junior college ranks, that's really kind of what you're used to, that you might only have some one and done players. It's kind of even rare at the junior college ranks to have those players there for the 2 years. Is it better that you're kind of inheriting the bare cupboard, or would you like to have had some pieces knowing that there was that success on the court?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think when you look at what we've done the last 4, 5, 6 years at Pearl River, I think that's what we've been used to is flipping a roster and getting a team to be on the same page real quick, fast, and in a hurry. And we have what we call some recipes for success or secrets for success. And we get our girls to buy into that. Now, that's not as easy said as done. There's a lot of time that's spent off the court, which translate to success on the court, but you have to invest that time. But the last 2 years, we've only had 2 returners, and we've won back-to-back conference championships. We won 3 out of the last 4 conference state championships, and there was only one in the history of the program. And those 2 girls that we returned this year, they only played a combined 1 conference game. So we had a brand new roster. I think the one thing that we do a really good job of is blending talent, but making sure we are the best team. We are a team that is connected. We're a team that loves one another, that serves one another. We're a player-led team. If you come and watch practice, a lot of times, once the girls understand the drills that we do and we teach and implement, it is their job to lead practice. So that's one thing that I'm really excited about is being able to kind of reconnect with some of our players that we've put and placed at the next level who have had immediate success, is to get the band back together. That will expedite the process. You have to give Coach Bilderback credit. That's what she did in her very first year here at Monroe. That formula is a proven success formula. That's the same thing we're going to do here. We're going to start with our people because they understand our brand of basketball, how we run practice, our expectations, and the demand of excellence that we demand each and every day. So I think that speeds up and expedites, especially whenever you've got a shortened calendar in terms of hours of participation and things like that. So I'm actually embracing now. There's some really good players here, and I look forward to visiting with them and making sure they're on board. So, we're not in the business to cut people. We're in the business to change people's lives, and we just happen to use a basketball to do that.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
So with that said, I know that there was always the recruitment of the players that you had there at Pearl River. When you would talk to your student athletes that you had then, what was the selling points that you were like, hey, you should probably consider going to ULM because of this or that? What were some of those things that you saw that not only drew you to the job, but that you were even pitching to your student athlete?
I think the biggest thing is the conference. I mean, this conference is a phenomenal conference in every sport. I mean, there's pros in this conference. And so, I actually have been saying for multiple years, not that anybody was listening to me, but I think this is more than a one-bid league. And I really meant that. And that was watching it from afar with us having players that were in this league. I mean, we had a kid that had 27 against Marshall in the semis last year, not this past year, but the year before when Marshall won it. So we've had a lot of our players that have went and played in this league and had success in other leagues across the country. But I think first and foremost, you just got to talk about the regional landscape and where it's located, the facilities, the elite coaches, elite players. Players get drafted from this league. This sets you up for a financial package after you're playing basketball. It opens up so many doors for professional contracts. This is an extremely attractive league on so many levels. So that's the biggest thing. And then obviously the moment I stepped over here and I stepped on campus, I love the water. I'm an Aquarius. So, man, I just love the river and the bayou. I saw the ski team out there. That really got me excited. But there again, I said this earlier, and this is not lip service, man. This is when you have special leadership, okay, and you have someone like John Hartwell, and you got Coleman Barnes, and you got Carmen, you got Carlin, you got Martin, and you got Michael. I mean, there's so many great people here, and when there's special people, it makes the place even more special, and you can make special memories together. And that's our plan, is to win together here, not win as the women's basketball program. When football wins, we win. When softball wins, we win. So this is an opportunity for everybody to win in Warhawk athletics. So we're not going to be isolated. We're going to be supporting everybody. And the girls that have played for us and played with us or played against us, they've always been envious of our bench energy, the excitement and passion that we play with on the defensive end. And that's something that attracts. Because like I said earlier, winners win, and you can't talk winning with losers. Some people want it to happen, and other people's make it happen. And we've done a lot more with a lot less. So we're just fired up for the opportunity to be on the Bayou.
NIL is always a touchy subject there, and I think that Missy Bilderback did a pretty good job there of getting some of her players paid by various boosters around the town. What's kind of your approach to that, knowing that this is probably going to be something a little new for you?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I guess the biggest thing is that's where I'm going to lean on John and Coleman and Phil, and Coach Cunningham, and then got Coach Vincent, and not they're going to step on anybody's toes. But I think the biggest thing is understanding John's vision for success for the athletic department. Obviously, he's got a plan for us to all to be successful. We understand that the student athlete experience is something that's very important. Some of the things that I plan to do is to get out in the community. My wife and I will be playing tennis in some spare time that we will have, and meeting people. We were very heavily involved in the tennis community in Hattiesburg. And so when you're in that community and people get to know you and you get to play with them, it builds and strengthens relationships. We'll be in the community with our team. Our team will be very visible, from opening car doors, going and read books at elementary schools. We'll be active here on campus. So I think the more you involve yourself in the community, there's obviously creative ways with some potential opportunities to play in maybe some money games or things like that could help with NIL. So I think you got to be very creative. Golf tournaments. There was a fundraiser that we did at Pearl River that brought in a lot of money that we're going to hopefully implement here if I can get it approved. And honestly, it was just selling of like stuffed chickens, boudin balls, things like that. And I know it sounds crazy, but for around Thanksgiving, our sports teams did it there, and it brought in a lot of money. So there's some different ways to fundraise. You can't sit on your hands and ask and expect people to come and just give money. That's not the way. You got to be invested in them the same way you want them to be invested in you.
I know you just recently got your formal introduction there, but what's been the reception there, talking with Coach Vincent, Coach Cunningham, Federico, and everybody else down the line?
Man, you're gonna get me emotional. When I walked out there today, and even when John was doing the introduction, I was getting emotional. I was trying not to, but it's tough when every kid grows up in their driveway in their backyard and counts down and beats Duke with the game-winning shot, or Carolina, or hits the home run or the grand slam to beat the Yankees, right? So I was just sitting there just in awe, like having an out-of-body experience, like, man, this is literally a childhood dream come true. So those guys have been nothing short of amazing. Everybody in there today, it was a packed room. Those people do not know me. They don't know our staff yet. So that's why you take this so personal for everybody's personal success. Like the way we pay back people like yourself who are an alumni here, people that showed up today that we may not know their names. We put a great product on that court. We make sure we're representing in the classroom with FCA, different places in the community we're involved. And then we just give them an opportunity when they see us play. We play so hard. We play with a relentless effort and a phenomenal attitude that resembles a team that's together. So the warm reception has been phenomenal. I'll tell you a funny story. Whenever I came over to visit, my wife and I went with John to Jay Poppy's. So we walk in, we see Coach Vincent with his son there, and we introduce him. So I tell him where I'm coming from. He said, "Yeah, I know y'all's football coach there real well." He said, "He's the only guy I know that would run the wing tee in 7-on-7. So I went back and told our football coach that. He said, "Hey, he knows me, Fletch. He knows me." So, man, it's just you feel a connection. And I just think when everybody's rowing in the same direction in the boat, you get to that destination a lot quicker. So warm reception, very emotional, very touching, and very honored, to say the least.
I know the portal's open right now. When can we expect to start seeing new Warhawks landing on the Bayou?
Yes, sir. We tried to get that done today in terms of getting us set up in the ARM system. Want to make sure that we follow dot every I and cross every T with compliance. We have a meeting with that tomorrow, and I'm talking about as soon as we can. Damien and Cody they'll get tired of seeing my face. I got a face for radio, as John said earlier, but I'm telling you, we will be living in their office. We went and bought a Coleman tent today. And so we're going to put that in their office so that we'll be camping out, waiting on them to show up so we can get this deal done. So we're fired up, man. I mean it. We got girls that they just trust us and their vision, and they're going to sign without even taking a visit. We'll set the visit up later. But we just got to get everybody in the boat now, man, because that's what's so important. So it's coming. It's coming quick.
The other thing is scheduling. This past year, it was great to have two SEC teams come to Fant Ewing. What do you have up your sleeve for scheduling?
Sir, great question. I love how well-rounded you are, and I mean that as a compliment. Luckily, Coach Bilderback and her staff had already kind of secured several games for the schedule, so we're working to fulfill. We've got a few dates left. We're in the talks of bringing back the Louisiana Tech series, so that's something that's on the horizon. I've talked with their assistant today, and so we're going to talk tomorrow and try to finalize that. So we want to bring, I would love to. I have a vision of maybe the Battle of Louisiana and trying to get 4 state schools to come up here. I talked with some schools earlier today in the Southland Conference about trying to have like a multi-tournament event, and I just think it'd be real cool to bring teams and then be great for the city of Monroe, for fans and for tourism to come here and play basketball, obviously, in Fant Ewing. So some unbelievable court, man. I just walking out there and you just get so excited. You get goosebumps, man. And that ball bouncing. Every time that ball's bouncing, Coach Mack and I, we've stuck our head out there just to see who it is. And we, even though we don't know everybody, just hearing that ball bounce and just gets our juices flowing.
Last thing I have for you there, Coach. What's the message to the fans? What's the big thing that you want to push as you get ready to embark on this journey and leading the Warhawks?
Well, first and foremost, thank you guys for trusting and believing in us. Secondly, we will not let you down, and we're going to play very aggressive. We're going to be a fun brand of basketball to watch. We're going to play defense, very aggressive. We're going to share the ball offensively. As good as we've been on the defensive end, we've been top in the country as well, top 20 in the country in scoring. We're going to have quality depth. We're going to shuffle girls in and out to stay fresh. But the biggest thing is just give us a chance. That's all we ask. Just give us a chance. Come with an open mindset. But I promise you, after the game, our girls will go up in the stands. They'll shake everybody's hand around the court in those seats. They'll spend time with the band. They'll spend time with the cheerleaders and the dancers. We'll go speak to every sports team on campus. Every Greek squad will also get a visit from us to understand the importance. I've got some visionary things to pass out to kind of create, a home court environment for both men and women, especially when we have those double headers that, I want to share with Coach Cunningham, make sure he's on board. But I think the War Zone would be a pretty cool name for the student section. And, I just think the more you're involved and the more you go and support those other programs, they'll support us. But if they'll just come and bring somebody, whether it's their son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, and just give us a chance and pray, just give us a chance, man. I promise you we'll earn their respect.
Looking forward to it when camp breaks. You already have the countdown of when the season will actually start for practices?
Yes, sir, we do. We actually will start September the 22nd with practice, and we open November the 3rd. So we're super excited. I mean, good gracious. I mean, I don't want to bark on your show because I got in trouble with my wife for barking earlier, but I really want to bark on your show. But maybe I'll leave that for next time. I got a pretty good bark.
Hey, we'll have you back as we get closer to tip off to talk some more and see where you are on things. But Coach, I can't thank you enough for stopping by, and we'll see you around on the Bayou.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for having us. Go Warhawks.